Oh, I remember when my brother was born. Such a little boy, such a nice baby. Oh, he was beautiful. What? Oh, how old would he be? 40 and 38 or 30. He's not so little anymore, is he? But it doesn't seem like so long ago that my mom had me hide in the reeds and watch the basket when we put him in the river. And then the princess came to take her bath and she found him. What? Oh, yeah. Moses, yes, I'm talking about my brother Moses. Yes. And then I got to go to the princess and say, would you like me to find someone to feed this baby for you? And we got to bring Moses back to our house. You know, we loved that baby so much. We sang to him and we prayed over him and we taught him stories about the one true God over and over again. Those were such happy days. But he grew up and he got bigger and we had to give him back to the princess who adopted him. And then he didn't live with us anymore and we didn't see him much, except sometimes we saw him from far away. But we couldn't look long. We had to keep working because our taskmasters were so hard, worked us so hard. When we saw him from afar, though, he didn't look like one of us anymore. He dressed like an Egyptian, and he spoke like an Egyptian. Oh, and he learned so many things. You could tell by the way he was talking that he knew of chariots and war and things he would have never known had he still been a slave like us. That was my brother Moses. You know, he learned other things in Egypt too. He learned about all of the gods that they worshipped. And oh, that worried me. It worried my mother and it worried my father. Would he remember there's only one true God? Or would he believe that those things the Egyptians worshipped were really gods? Oh, we could only hope that God's purpose for Moses would be to help us. Who else but someone who lived in the palace could help us? And then one day, Moses came out and he walked among our people. Oh, I hardly dared to look at him. And while he was watching, there was a taskmaster just beating another Israelite so badly. And Moses became angry. And that's when I knew that he knew he was really one of us. But he was so angry, he took that taskmaster and he killed him. And then he buried his body in the sand. Oh. He went back to the palace that night and we wondered what would happen. Then, some days later, Moses came out again among us. And you know he saw two Israelite men who had been worked so hard and beaten so badly that they were frustrated and angry and they were beating each other. And Moses said, "Stop it! Don't you know you're all one of God's people?" But they were angry and they said, "What? You're going to kill us like you killed the Egyptian?" Oh, then Moses knew his secret was out. He was in big trouble. If Pharaoh found out, Pharaoh would have him killed. He would. We knew that too. And so Moses, he left the palace and he ran away. We didn't know where he had gone. But do you know, some travelers have come by and we've heard little bits that he got all the way to Midian. That's a long way away. I don't know what purpose God has for him in Midian. But some other travelers came and said that he met a man who had 7 daughters, and he married one of them and had 2 sons. And he was working with that man, being a shepherd. I miss my brother Moses, and I don't know what God's purpose was to save him. I wish I knew, but I have to stop talking now, or I will be beaten. Our Bible tells us that Moses lived in Midian for 38 or 39 years. While he was there, he was a shepherd. He took care of the sheep of his father-in-law. Do you know what that meant? That meant that sometimes he was gone many days at a time, looking for grass for those sheep to eat, or looking through the dry desert to find water for them. And when he was out all those days, the sun beat down on him, but he learned how to survive in the desert. Those desert sands were hot on his feet, and he learned the places where he could cool them. He took care of those sheep, and he did it well. And that is what Moses was doing. But the Bible says that while he was being a shepherd, the king of Egypt died. And the Israelites groaned in their slavery, and their cry went up to God. You know, God's people, the Israelites, they didn't have a Bible like we did. And many of them forgot about the living God. Some of them began to worship the idols of Egypt. They thought God had forgotten them. But God had not. He heard their cries. He heard their pain. And he looked on them and he was concerned about them. We know now that when Moses was a shepherd, God was preparing him for the plan that he had to take care of his people. Whoops. One that's not untightly. We know that Moses took care of the sheep. We know all the things that he did. We know that God was preparing him to lead the people out, but Moses did not know that. The Bible says that even though he had been saved from the river and heard the stories and songs and learned about the one true God, he also learned all the things in Egypt, and that is how God prepared him. So Moses was tending the sheep, and he led the flock far away to a mountain that was called the Mountain of God. And while he was there, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a bush that was on fire. Now, Moses had seen bushes on fire before, and he knew how dangerous it was. He knew that it was important to put that fire out. But when he got closer to it, he realized that even though it was burning, it was not burning up. The bush was still green, the bush was still there, the fire was there. And Moses thought, this is a strange sight. Why is the bush not burning up? Do you know why? The bush was not burning up because it was God. And when God saw Moses come over, he said, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, yes, here I am. And God said, do not come any closer, Moses. Take off your sandals. The ground where you are standing is holy. Then Moses knew that even though he knew about the desert of our earth, this was the ground where God was, and he was near to a holy place. God said to Moses, I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I'm worried about their suffering. I have come to rescue them and to bring them out of that land. And their cries have reached to me, and I have seen them be oppressed. And do you know what I think Moses thought? He probably thought, oh, good. It's about time, God, that you did something. I've wanted my people to be saved. But then God said, Moses, you go, and I am sending you to save my people. Oh, no. Moses didn't think that was a good plan. He said, no, I cannot. Who am I? I am a shepherd. That's all I am. I can't do that job. But God said, Moses, I will be with you. And when you have brought the people out, you will worship me right here on this mountain. Well, Moses said, oh God, what if I go and they say, and I say, the God of your fathers sent me, and they say, what is his name? Well, then who shall I say has sent me? Oh, I glued this just before I left. And God said, you tell them, I am who I am. The I am. I am God. I am holy. I am. And that's who has sent you. We know that God's name is holy. Moses got to see it right there. God said, this will be my name forever. The name that people will remember me from. I am God. So go back to Egypt, Moses, and say, the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and Isaac and Jacob has seen what is done, and he promises to save you and bring you to a land that is good. They'll listen to you, and then you and the elders go to the king and say to him, let my people go. But Moses was worried, and he said, well, I don't think they will believe me. I'm just a shepherd. That's what I've been doing. But God said to him, Moses, what is in your hand? And he said, my staff that I care for my sheep with. And God said, throw it on the ground. And Moses threw it on the ground, and when he did, it became a snake. Moses probably stood back a little bit, but God's words were surprising. God said, Moses, pick up the snake by its tail. Now, I don't know if you've ever picked up a snake, but you would never pick up a snake by its tail. Its head could come up and bite you. You would always have to hold a snake by its jaw. But God said, Moses, pick up the snake by its tail. Moses knew it was holy ground, and he stepped forward, and he very carefully picked up that snake. And when he picked it up, it became his staff again. Moses was amazed, but God was not finished. God said, Moses, take your hand and put it inside your coat. Moses did, and when he took it out, it was sick and had blisters. God said, put it back in, and he put it back in, and when he took it out again, it was clean and healed. God said, I have given you these miracles of the snake and the leprosy so that they will believe that I am God, and I want them to let my people go. Then Moses said, okay, but you know, I'm not really so very good at talking. I just spend all this time out in the desert with sheep, and I don't go by people a whole lot. I haven't been by people for a whole long time, and I'm not very good at it. And sometimes I stutter. Sometimes I just can't think of the words that I need to say. I don't think I can go stand before the king of Egypt. But God said to him, I will help you speak. In fact, God said, already your older brother, Aaron, has been coming to you. He will help you. I will help you speak, and you will tell Aaron what it is. So go and meet him. Can you imagine when Moses went home that day and said to his father-in-law and his wife, I know that I have been a shepherd for almost 40 years, but I saw God today. And God says I'm to go back to Egypt and help to save my people. And they said, go. And so Moses and his wife and his children packed, and they went to meet his brother Aaron, knowing that God had promised to care for him and that God had a purpose for him that he never even saw coming. I wonder how Moses felt about this purpose. I wonder if he was afraid. I wonder where you will meet God this week, and if you will recognize that place as being holy. I wonder, when you start to think that God is telling you of a purpose for your life, if you'll be full of excuses like Moses was. Sometimes it's really hard to be nice to kids who are mean. Sometimes it's really hard not to cheat when we haven't done our homework. But God's purpose is for us to be truthful and honest and kind and loving. And when we do those things, God doesn't want to hear our excuses, because He is God, and He promises to live in us and help us fulfill His purpose. Think about that this week, when you're at school, when you're playing at home, when you're with your parents. Think about where you will meet God and what you will say.